Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Panel Pals, the comic book podcast for thinkers. We're your hosts, Diane Hitchings.
And Jack Stewartson.
So, how are you doing on this fine spring day? It's not actually spring, but it's really nice here, so...
Yeah, well, we're in full spring over here in the prairies, so not bad. I'm waiting for the sun to come out.
Yeah. I heard it was minus 20 last week. Sucks.
Yeah, and snowy. But we're kind of back to minus 5-ish range, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I told someone, I was like, on the weekend, I was like, oh yeah, by the way, it's like minus 20 in Alberta right now, and apparently it's supposed to get like plus 8 next week, and they look at me and they're like, what is actually happening with the weather over there? And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? Classic.
It's really healthy. It's really good for you to do that also.
Oh yeah, it's so normal.
It's so normal.
Hey, I mean, you know, I just got a bunch of rain right now, but like, it's warm. Just a bunch of rain and mud and all the good stuff.
All the good stuff that comes from spring. Dude, I can't wait for summertime. I finally got my birthday present, my late birthday present. Have you ever done upright paddleboarding before?
Like the standing on the board one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started going out with some pals to the lakes last summer, and I loved it. And I was, bragging about it to my folks. So for my birthday this year, they got me a paddleboard, but they waited for it to go on sale in Costco. So it's finally arrived. Exactly. Can't wait. The snow can melt now. I'm done with winter. Yeah. Bye winter.
No, that's the thing you do. You're like, yes, you wait till it goes on sale at Costco, so it's a reasonable price. So it makes sense. Lovely. Yes. It can be summer now.
Are you ready for summer? What's your
always. I'm tired of having to wear rubber boots all the time. I want to go back to wearing sandals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give me back my sandals. I mean, it's technically warm enough to wear sandals, but when I have like literally just like a foot of mud everywhere, I'm like, no.
Yeah, you don't need trench
fine
foot in Vancouver.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think I'll be fine. So like, eventually it'll dry out and I can go back to wearing sandals and it'll be great. But yeah, that's the exciting things happening in my life right now. It's raining. How about you? Anything exciting? Anything comic related?
Comic related? Oh. I don't know. There's a couple of releases coming at the end of the month that I'm saving my pennies for, but
nice.
Nothing yet. What about you?
The only thing I have to contribute to the conversation for this part is I will get out my contractually obligated mention of Baki the Grappler out now. The new season of the anime came out, and it's only the first half of the season. So, have to wait God knows how many more months. But once that whole season drops, we're going to do another Baki episode, and I will force you to read another portion of the manga. So, look forward to that.
That's fair. Does it look any better than it did before, or is it
yes,
good? I can't remember if it looks good or not.
It looks quite good. I watched the whole season that's out so far, the first half of the season. I watched it all. I forced my sister to watch some of it with me. Yeah, great times. It actually looks pretty good. As fight animation goes, it's okay. But like, whatever, that's Baki. That's how it goes. I can't complain. I'm getting my insane niche a hobby animated, so it's great. I can't.
The boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town, and I will force you to read another few hundred chapters of it. Woo! That'll be at the end of the year, or whenever it comes out. But for today's episode, we are going to talk about something vastly different. And before I get into my spiel, I got a couple questions for you, Jack.
Great.
You like vampires?
Love them. Love vampires.
Love vampires? All right. Tell me more.
As a kid, I was afraid of all kinds of ghouls and monsters as a very young kid. My only exposure to them would have been through Halloween and Scooby-Doo, and I was terrified of those. But then in my teens, I, for whatever reason, got really into horror, and specifically, I guess it was like the zombie boom, and the vampire boom too. That was right around Twilight and stuff. But I was really into the Zombie Survival Guide and The Walking Dead, and watching Monster Madness every year, that James Rolfe web series. When I was 13, I dressed up as Dracula for Halloween, 13 or 12 or whatever, and I reused that costume a couple of times.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I love a vampire. I love the original Bela Lugosi Dracula. I love the Christopher Lee movies. I love the Francis Ford Coppola sexy Dracula. Yeah, vampires
Yeah.
are fun.
Yeah, I feel like you have a good amount of stuff to say about vampires, as like your academic background probably gave you more introduction to vampires in pop culture than most people, being with like film studies and stuff. Yeah, you ever read the Twilight books?
Never read the Twilight books. I feel like, I don't know, am I really missing out though? Like, I get it. I was such a Twilight hater as a teen, and I kind of regret that, because it's like, I was into like Marvel movies, and that's like, I don't know, for most people that's equally cringe, so whatever. Yeah. But I don't know. Am I missing out on anything there?
I don't know. I never read the books. I just remember in grade 6, literally half the class did their book report on Twilight. Good stuff. I never read the books. I think at the time I was busy reading like Harry Potter or something. I don't know.
Right.
I saw some of the movies. They're pretty funny. I have a friend who is very adamant that the movies are not a good adaptation and the books are actually good. So I will take her word on it.
I've heard that really last movie is like a schlock classic. Like, it is insane and stupid and goofy. So maybe I should check that one out. But
good stuff. I've also agreed. It's wild, but you'd say that there's quite a bit of media about vampires, huh?
It's hard to escape vampires. It's almost like, just as they're like bloodsuckers in fiction, they're also like they like latch onto you and like suck on to the culture almost. Mm-hmm. Like the thing that they represent of like a fear of death and also kind of this weird fear of sexuality. It's hard not to be fascinated by them.
Yeah. And last question. Are vampires superheroes? They got powers. They've got weaknesses. A lot of them wear capes. Thoughts?
Yeah, there's a number of those. Blade, right? Blade's a classic.
Mm-hmm.
I, Vampire over at DC. There's a number of independent... Actually, I recently bought a lot of this book called Deadbeats, and it's all about this kind of cult gang of vampires in the kind of Midwest, California, Nevada. It's an interesting read. Actually, it might make for an interesting episode if I could find a way to scan and send those over to you. But anyway, I love them. Love comic book vampires.
I love comic book. Excellent. So, this week, we are talking about the manga HELLSING, vampires. Jack, any starting thoughts about this manga?
I totally get the appeal of this. I get why this is popular.
When you phrase it like that, does that mean you like it, or you get why people can like it?
No, I think I like it. I think it's good. Mm-hmm. I think it's solid. How's that? I think it is solid.
Okay, it's solid. And I set forth for this episode a goal of reading the first 4 volumes, which was like 27 chapters. Did you get that far?
I think I read 6. I think I got up to
6 volumes?
Yeah, around the 40 or 50 mark. Let me check. Excellent. Actually.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna be like, yeah, actually, I read 6 chapters. And I was
6 chapters.
Be like, damn it!
Chapter 42 is where I'm at.
Excellent, nice. All right, let us go. Pop culture loves vampires. There's plenty of folklore about vampires all around the world, dating back centuries. In terms of writing, from the short story The Vampire, written in 1819, and Dracula, written in 1897, to more contemporary stories like the Twilight series, which everyone was reading in the late 2000s, there's many specifically horror and romance books featuring vampires. There's a million movies, spanning all genres. Comics, of course, and manga, of course, as we are discussing this week. People love vampires. They're spooky, they're sexy, they're inhuman, immortal, extremely powerful, with a distinct set of limitations and weaknesses, which of course varies by story. They have a rivalry with werewolves. That's great plot setup right there. There's a lot of allegories you can use when writing vampires. Honestly, perfect setup for fiction. And one of those fiction series is the manga HELLSING. HELLSING is a seinen manga by Hirano Okuta, running from 1997 to 2008. The manga is comprised of 95 chapters compiled into 10 volumes. The anime adaptation, which didn't follow the manga closely, had 13 episodes and ran from 2001 to 2002. An OVA series called Hellsing Ultimate ran from 2006 to 2012 and had 10 episodes, more closely following the manga's story. The manga itself follows a three-way battle between the Hellsing organization, the Vatican, and a group of Nazis that survived World War II. The Hellsing side features most of our main characters, including Sir Integra Hellsing, the head of Hellsing, her butler Walter, her extremely powerful vampire Alucard, and her newbie policewoman vampire Saris. Their foes include Alexander Anderson, a monster hunter from the Vatican, and a bunch of Nazis who are like vampires and werewolves and catboys. These three opposing forces meet in a giant bloody battle, which comprises, honestly, most of the manga. Yeah, it's a manga about vampires fighting, and guns, and swords, and lots of violence, and a lot of religious imagery, and a lot of Nazis. And I thought to myself, when picking a manga for this episode, why do I want an episode on Hellsing? What is there to say about the themes, the story? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it controversial? Is it universally loved? Is it complex? What sort of analysis could I do? Could we do? And I mean, yeah, all those things are facets we can talk about, but when it comes down to it, it always comes back to me just thinking, God, this manga just looks so cool. And thus I want to talk about it. It's just a cool looking thing, isn't it?
How did I know that was going to make the backbone of your thesis when I was reading this?
But it
is very
does.
cool. It is very cool.
The aesthetic is definitely, in my mind, what carries this series. I'll tell you, every time I reread Hellsing, I'm always like, what happens again? What was the plot? I mean, I generally remember most of the big major beats. And then I'm rereading it and I'm like, oh yeah, those are things that happened. Totally forgot. But damn, isn't that a cool looking panel? Nice. Yeah. I'm a fan.
You're a fan. I can see why. Now, when I was reading this, it came to me that in my anime hater days, I would have thought this is so stupid. Let me tell you why. Can I tell you why?
Oh, I definitely want to know why, of course.
It's a lot of skinny, slender, androgynous characters standing and posing in weird poses. And I would have hated that. I would have thought it was so stupid. In addition to it being about sexy vampires at a time when I was a hater of sexy vampires.
But, like, that's like the late 90s vibe. That's what things looked like.
Totally. It is entirely of its time. This is the most, like, Final Fantasy VII, like, guys with long hair. The
longest
whatever you call those bangs.
Ever.
Yeah, middle part bangs. Yeah. Standing around, leaning, doing the lean. Tons of belts and chains everywhere.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Now, 20 or 30 years removed, this is the sickest shit in the world. I was wrong.
Hell yeah. I'm glad you got over that hater phase. I don't know if it's just the nostalgia for me or just like I like this type of art. But that late 90s kind of stuff, I mean, also, like, have you ever heard of Trigun?
Yeah, I'm aware of Trigun. Yeah. Same design philosophy, right? Like,
there is so many similarities in, like, aesthetics to the point where the author Hirano, he at one point in time made a comment that he's like, he regrets giving Alucard glasses because he looks too much like the main character of Trigun now.
Yeah, he looks like Vash the Stampede,
he
just
looks
with
so
black
much
hair.
Yeah, and he's got, like, the coat and the glasses. I mean, Vash doesn't have a hat, but, like, whatever.
He also remarkably looks like, I don't know, maybe it's a coincidence or not, but have you ever watched Vampire Hunter D? Are you familiar with that franchise?
No, I am not. That is
Very
not one of the
similar
vampire mangas I've... Let's see.
Yeah, I'm only familiar because the anime is one of the first, English translated anime brought over Western side. Very similar design aesthetics, kind of a similar plot also.
Oh, that looks cool. Yeah, neat. No, I have not engaged with that. I should now. I probably should now that I greatly enjoy Hellsing, so I'm like, good, maybe this one has a better story. Whoops, was that transparent? Anyways, let's talk about the art first, though. So, what to you, does anything stand out about this art, besides the fact that it looks like it's from the 90s? Is there any parts that you like, dislike?
I do enjoy the insane ultra violence. I think it's appropriate for the subject matter, going for like a horror slash, I don't know, war is the right genre description of it, but it makes sense to have all of this like crazy kills when there's like an army of zombies and you got a vampire main character who can both inflict and take on a bunch of damage at once. And it's also stylized in interesting ways where if Alucard loses a limb or whatever, it's sort of vaguely drawn, but you still understand what kind of damage has been inflicted on him. Like there's some interesting cartooning, like I wouldn't go so far as to call it chibi, but like deforming of characters, especially in some of the weird dream sequences. Like I found the dream sequences really interesting in this. It's kind of gutsy for him to draw like that for such a self-serious manga.
The more comedic parts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, lots of similarities to Trigun. But yeah, no, it's funny how it just goes into that art style for like more of the comedic bits. And you're like, I mean, I would read a whole thing that was drawn like that. I think it's funny.
Yeah, it totally works. Like it's just weird, but it works.
Yeah, the juxtaposition between like how serious and like ultra-violent and stuff and like deadly everything is, and it goes to like the comedic art style for a couple panels to like make a joke, and you're like, tonal whiplash. I like it. Like there's one scene where they're in like an art museum or something, and Alucard and Alexander Anderson are about to like absolutely beat the shit out of each other in the middle of an art exhibit, and then like Saris comes by with like a group of like senior citizens to look at the art, and it's just like, it's so funny. It's just, and the art goes silly for a little bit, and then it like breaks the tension, and you're like, it had a plot reason, I guess. I think he just wanted to draw a funny joke, and I appreciate it. I like those little bits. They're fun, yeah. You touched on some things that I also like to point out for this manga, how like some things are just like vaguely gestured at art-wise, and I think one of the greatest strengths about this manga art-wise is the spots in which detail is chosen to be omitted. Some of the times you could just be like, hey, I wonder if this is just to like, you know, draw things quicker. There's a lot of times where people have like just one eye that is drawn, even in situations where like there isn't even enough shadow to cover the other eye, but like whatever, you only drew one eye, whatever. But there's a lot of and it's like, I think it's very of the time as well, like art wise. But like there's a lot of times where like a background will be very like graphic, it'll be very flat, it'll just be black and white shapes, or a character will be just an outline as they're like silhouetted from behind with the light. And I'm like, those panels just look so nice, and it really goes together with like the dark like horror gothic vibe of the whole manga when you have like these scenes that are dark and you're missing so many of the details and you can just barely see the character, or Alucard is like blending into the background. It's great, because when you're drawing, you don't have to draw every detail of everything. Choosing what to omit and what to draw is a great way to get across, like, what you're trying to put emphasis on. Usually the emphasis being, like, one eye and the arm that is currently doing something wild, and then the rest of the body can just be a silhouette. Also a good way to save your drawing hand so you don't draw all the details ever.
Very true.
Yeah.
I forget who said it, but someone... I can't remember if it was in our classes or maybe it was a Cartoonist Kayfabe video, but someone said, if you keep adding black ink to your page, it's usually going to look good. Like, the more you add, the more it's going to look good. And that philosophy has been brought into Hellsing hand over fist, for sure.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of heavy black used. And, like, even, like, some things that you just not drawing all the detail. In the first chapter, there's a full moon. And you could render the moon fully and, like, draw the little details, like, you know, the craters and stuff. Not just a big white circle on a black sky. And then you get to silhouetting the characters, and you're like, it looks great, because it's a great framing, you're focusing on the characters. Nice. I will say, there are some scenes where it's like, he went a little too hard. I won't say a little too hard on the detail, because I don't want to be mean. I don't want to like judge someone for putting too much, like a lot of effort into their art. But sometimes the scenes can definitely be too busy, especially with backgrounds. And then you can be like, I'm not entirely sure what is happening in this panel. It's very busy.
Yeah, there's a little bit of over busy panels, for sure.
And it's like, you could have just stuck with the simplicity in these panels too, but... it's okay, draw every detail of fire, that's fine.
draw a perfectly rendered SR-71 Blackbird on fire.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, yeah, like I'm not gonna tell someone to put less effort into their art, but you don't have to put all those details. So yeah, art fun. Character design, thoughts?
Again, very of its time. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily a bad thing. I think, am I right in thinking that Alucard's design changes, like, between arcs? Am I right about that, do you think?
I mean, his appearance changes a lot, and also the drawing style changes, so his outfit ends up looking different. A lot of characters, their outfits are changed a little bit. I don't know if that's just, like, the drawing style creep, or, like, he was like, I actually didn't like it, so I'll change his jacket a little bit. There is some small changes. Quite a lot of the characters do that. So, like, the way his coat and stuff looks in the first chapter is very different from, like, halfway through the thing. Yeah.
I think his hair changes. Like, he also doesn't wear the weird monocle sunglasses that he wears in the early bits. Am I right about that? Yeah.
Well, maybe it was the, we don't want him to look too much like Vash.
Maybe. True, yeah.
But like, yeah, his hairstyle changes all the time. Hair length changes all the time. The outfit he's wearing will change in the middle of the battle because he, like, just, like, got killed and turned into bats and smoke and then respawned with a human form, and now he's wearing a different outfit. It happens. Like that's because he doesn't have an actual solid form. He can just do whatever he wants.
Right, he can turn into 100 wolves or whatever, or shadows,
I don't think you got to any of the parts where he turns into, like, the version of him that has a mustache.
No, but that is canon to the novels, so...
Yes, exactly. And you didn't get to any of the parts where he turns into a young woman or a young girl?
No, I read that there's a spin-off where he's only a young woman, though, right? Or the prequel?
Yeah, there's a 6-chapter prequel called Hellsing the Dawn, I believe, and it's 6 chapters because he stopped making it after 6 chapters. It's not on hiatus, it's discontinued, it's never coming back. He just stopped writing it. And it's a prequel of Alucard as just being a young girl, and Walter, who is 14, fighting the Nazis and defeating them for the first time.
That's pretty cool. I don't dislike that.
It's cool, it's fun, and then it just ends, and you're like, wow, I'd love to know how this is, like, this finish. And it's like, I wouldn't say it's necessary reading to understand the story, but if you didn't know that existed, and you get to the part in the manga where he just turns into a little girl, and you'd be like, what is actually happening? You go pause the manga and go read those 6 chapters so you get the backstory. And there's kind of important things that happen in those backstory chapters. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Go read it on your own time. If you decide to finish the manga, which, like, I would recommend. Hellsing is one of those mangas where I think the ending is actually good. It's also pretty short, only 95 chapters. I always think it's longer, and then when I come back, I'm like, what? It's less than 100 chapters? Insane. It took 10 years to publish this, and less than 100 chapters? Insane. But, again, he changes appearance all the time, blah, blah, blah. I think the character designs are awesome. For the most part, some of them are boring. One of my favorite things, and I always have to mention this, the main antagonist is the Major, who's in charge of the Nazis. He's described as being fat, and then the first time you see him, he's just, like, shaped like every other twink that exists, and you're like, that's not a fat person. Someone's like, he's fat, obese even, and then it's just like a normal, like, he's just straight up and down, like, shaped like a rectangle, and I'm like, do you not know what the words you were using means?
Part of me wonders, is that a mistranslation, or later on he's drawn a little bit more portly, but, like, is that playing into, like, the fascist, like, Nazi ideal of perfection, where, like, if you had, like, a scar on your cheek, like a small scar on a cheek, you would be considered disfigured? Like, is that a joke about fascism? I was kind of curious about that, too. It's
either, like, a super smart joke, which I've never even thought of for what you were saying. More what I think is, based on how every other character is drawn, I think that is fat compared to everyone else. Because everybody else, like you said,
draw fat people.
Which is, like, fair. When people start drawing often, especially if they start drawing and it's manga influence, they can draw, like, young, skinny people, and they don't know how to draw fat people. They don't know how to draw old people. This is a thing I think is very funny of reading shoujo sometimes, is old people are just drawn like every other shoujo character, but they have like a couple wrinkles. I love it. It's so silly. But yeah, no, the Major gets fatter as the series goes on. I think I think Hirano realized maybe that this character isn't fat enough, or maybe I should draw him a little fatter or whatever. Anyways, that's one of my favorite things in terms of character design. It's just that, yeah, this guy's fat, shows us his character, the character full body view for the first time, and you're like,
this is a normal man.
No. I think it's just I don't think it's a joke. I think it's just, oh, I'm so used to drawing manga characters that this is what it ends up being like. On that vein of stuff, how thoughts about how the women are drawn? I
mean, I like the boss of HELLSING. I think that's kind of an interesting, especially when you learn more about her backstory. I think having any chick smoking a cigar is like cool and not seen in media really. Yeah. So I think that's kind of neat. I don't know. Everybody is androgynous except for like the butler. So like sometimes it is hard to tell who's a girl and who's not.
Every time I reread this, I forget if Rip Van Winkle is a girl or a boy. And then I remember at the very end of her existence that, oh yes, this is a female character. Because I'm always like, I forget.
Wait, that's a girl?
Yes. The one, yeah, the one with like glasses and freckles and the long black hair and
big gun.
Also wearing a suit. Yeah. No, that's a girl character. Fun fact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I always forget.
Rip Van Winkle is a guy in a book.
I know.
He's a guy.
And I tried to figure out why this character, because there's a lot of characters that are like named as references to things. For example, Alucard is just Dracula spelt backwards.
I want to get into Alucard. Sorry, we'll talk about Rip Van Winkle first.
We will. I was like, why you call Rip Van Winkle? And I tried to figure out why. And the only information I could find was, yes, this character is probably named after the fictional character, Rip Van Winkle. And I'm like, oh, really? You think? I don't think it's a very common name.
Except for, like, there's no connection.
No connection.
Like, she doesn't fall asleep. She's not a time traveler.
Nope, nothing.
She's
just a fake vampire with a gun that is magic, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like really big.
It's really big, and the bullets can just hit what it wants to. You don't even have to aim. You can just be like, my bullets are going to hit that, and then it does, and it can hit more than one person at the same time, because fuck you, it's magic. Sure, okay. Yeah, I have no idea. But I do think it's cool that's like, oh, this is some guy who's drawing female characters, and it's not just titties. Like, that's why I like, we'll get to it. It's like, same with Integra. I love her character design. She is awesome. Best character.
She's great.
Best character in HELLSING. Best character design in HELLSING. Very cool. Yes. Does her hair change? Is her hair curly or straight? Who knows? I don't care. She's very cool. Now, and then there's Saris, the female vampire policewoman. Any thoughts about the way that she's drawn?
It's... You know what? I'm going to give a benefit to the doubt to the creator here in this case. I think it is meant to be camp because while she is sort of sexualized in that she doesn't wear like appropriate police or military uniform, like she's wearing like a crop top and like Daisy Dukes most of the time.
She's wearing a mini skirt and thigh-high stockings.
Right. Yeah. But she also is one of the most powerful characters in the fiction. She's constantly using weapons that are bigger than anyone in the cast. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that is camp, right? Like that's silly. That's a funny juxtaposition.
Her shirt is vacuum sealed to her titties.
Yes.
God,
but she also doesn't like, I don't know, does she really have any sexuality? Like beyond calling Alucard master, which is
besides the fact that
admittedly,
besides the fact that it's important canonically that she's a virgin.
Yeah, I guess there's that too.
Do you want me to talk about this art a little bit more, or do you want to talk about Alucard? Because I have an important thing to say about the art.
No, I'll save Alucard for later. Go ahead.
Question. So HELLSING is not Hirano's only manga. What genre of manga do you think he was writing or / drawing before writing HELLSING?
Is it porn?
It's hentai.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Woo! Another one.
Which is like, I'm of two minds. The first thing I'd say is, yeah, I can tell. And second thing I would say is, I'm impressed then with most of the female characters in Hellsing. Fun fact, the original one-shot, chapter of Hellsing was published in a hentai magazine. And it was very much more that. A lot of the characters in Hellsing had prototypes in some of his earlier manga, which were hentai. So that's very funny. The fact that somebody named Alexander Anderson was just in a random hentai about, like, the church, I guess. I don't know. I've not found most of... That stuff is very old and not well circulated, so you can't really find most of it. But based on the way that he draws some of his female characters, you can be like, yeah, I can see that.
I mean, also based on how he draws some of his male characters. Like, this guy's got some fetishes, right? And that's fine. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think the most obvious, well, one of the most obvious to me is in where is it? Chapter 26? Where Ceres is struggling to eat human food. And then Integra cuts her finger and she's like, suck it. And then the next two pages you're like, what genre am I reading?
This is not, this does not fit. One of these things is not like the others.
Yeah, and I'm just like, every time I read this, it just comes out of left field, and you're just like, bam, and then just two pages, and then it goes back to being a manga about war, and you're like, we're gonna unpack that.
Their relationship is also, it's not sexual up to that point. Like,
there is,
it kind of comes out of nowhere.
There is, like, no sexual relationships really in this manga at all. There's a little bit there's a little bit of romance, which is very under... Oh, you probably wouldn't have gotten there. Anyways, there's technically a romance, but, like, was it developed at all? No. So I don't care.
They kind of hint that the Catboy Nazi, there's, like, a little bit of pederasty going on between him and some of the higher-ups.
Wasn't expecting that.
I kind of caught that.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that you were going to say I was talking about romance. Yeah, can they not draw the twink Catboy like that, please?
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess I won't give you spoilers about that character, I guess, because you didn't read all of it, but a hilarious character in my mind. Very, very funny. Yeah, there's just a Catboy named Schrodinger, sure. Why? Finish the manga, you'll find out. It's funny. Stupid. I love this. Anyways, yeah, so some of the women good, some of the women not good. I will continuously and always be surprised and impressed with the way that he draws Integra, because she's so cool and is a strong female character and is not drawn the way you would expect someone with this drawing background to draw women. Good job, my guy. You did good. I guess.
For a former hentai artist, wow.
Yeah, which is, it's...
You gave a female character agency.
Yeah, like, woo! Congratulations, the bar's on the floor, I guess. But now, if you could just stop making sure that we know that all the important female characters are virgins, okay. Please don't tell us that. Is that really necessary?
I mean, that is sort of a trope of the genre, though. Like, some of that is to blame on the genre. Mm-hmm. Not that you have to do everything that a genre is, but, like, that's not in Dracula mythology.
No, it's not. It's just always funny to me that they're like, yes, remember, she was a virgin and then they killed her. Yes, remember. Fun fact, it's technically canonly important that Integra's a virgin, I guess, and she always is and always will be, pretty much. Anyways, cool, thanks. Sure, it's vampire stuff, but whatever, weirdos. You can talk about Alucard now. I'll digress.
Let's talk about Alucard. How familiar are you with, like, proper Dracula lore or proper vampire lore, or the history of, like, Alucard, the name Alucard in vampire mythology?
So I read a synopsis of the original Bram Stoker's Dracula book, because there's a lot of references to it in this series, in this manga. So I was like, I should kind of understand what all these references are about. because there's just a bunch of Dracula characters that exist in Hellsing, and you're just supposed to know that. That's about the extent of my knowledge. Usually when I interact with vampires, it's in a manga that is like, hey, we're making up our own rules.
We're doing our own shit.
And I'm like, fair enough.
Not so wise man once asked the question, Diane, how do you kill a vampire?
You stake through the heart.
Sure. Well, how else?
You cut.
How else?
Is cutting their head off? Maybe slapping them with garlic? Yep. I don't know.
Yep, garlic, classic.
Something religious. I don't remember.
Sure, holy artifacts or holy water. Yep.
I know.
Diane, I'm going to tell you something. Doesn't matter because vampires aren't real. You can make up whatever you want.
Yeah.
About vampires. There are no rules.
Yeah.
And Hellsing kind of plays fast and loose with those rules too, which is good, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The character of Alucard. So Dracula, in terms of like pop mythology, is a pretty young character, right? Kind of late 1800s is when the novel's published by Bram Stoker. But most people are familiar with him from wider pop culture, like movies, like Halloween costumes, other adaptations, right? The first instance of the name Alucard being used is from the 1943 movie The Son of Dracula, in which Count Alucard travels from Transylvania to get married in the American South, and it's revealed that it's hinted that he's some sort of long-lost descendant of the original Count Dracula before he was killed, and then later it's revealed, no, it's just Dracula resurrected in disguise as his own progeny. The problem is that none of that's in the novel. It was entirely made up for the movie. But Alucard keeps popping up everywhere, either as a descendant of Dracula, like in that Castlevania show or the video games, or in this instance where Alucard is Dracula, which I kind of find interesting that this is a Japanese product, just like Castlevania, and yet it's referencing a 1943 Hollywood movie that I don't think really, I don't know what the horror culture is in Japan. I know they have their own horror films and stuff, but the fact that they would have reference to this 40s Universal horror movie is kind of interesting. I love that it gets referenced like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any feelings on Alucard generally or Dracula in pop mythology?
To touch on what you're saying about that, I read that in general, the lore, the vampire lore and all the references to stuff in culture that is in Hellsing wasn't meticulously researched. It was all stuff that Hirano absorbed by being someone who's interested in pop culture. So it's he probably then did see this movie or know about it, and it's potentially not a thing that a lot of people who read the series knew, but he was like, I like this thing, and so I'm going to include it in my thing. Just like all the references to Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I don't think would be a thing that most people in Japan have read. But these were parts of pop culture that he was interested in, and he included them in his manga. Reading his other stuff, you can see what specific things he finds interesting. And some of the things he finds it continues to keep introducing into his mangas are why do you have more than one series that Nazis play a prominent role in? As in his other series that is currently running called Drifters, Hitler was a character? When I tell you that the other series had Hitler get isekai'd into a fantasy world and then kind of set up a country and then I think maybe committed suicide. I don't know. Bro, I don't know what's happening. Why you like Nazis so much?
Just what he would have wanted.
Yeah.
Japan has a weird fascination with German fascism. Yeah. I don't quite understand. It keeps popping up in things, and I'm like, I get that you guys were allies in World War II. I'm sure there was some cultural trading back in the 30s and 40s, but it's you guys should be embarrassed by it.
It's
lots of people don't like this stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Even in Hellsing, it's referenced. These Nazis are ones that escaped to South America. It's been a while,
which is a real thing.
Yeah, and it's this is not the first media from Japan that I've encountered where that's an important thing. I'm pretty sure the Lupin the Third, the movie that came out. It's been a while since I saw it, but I'm pretty sure there was an important thing where Yeah, they went to South America and there was Nazis and potentially they were trying to revive Hitler and or Hitler was still alive or something like that. And I'm just like, why does this seem to be a thing that they like to mention a bunch? Is it just because they think like going to South America is cool?
Well, even in what's Yurusei Yatsure, one of those movies, Beautiful Dreamer, for whatever reason, all of the main characters are in like a German military school after school club, and it's like, what? Why is this allowed? like they're building their own Panzer tank as part of a festival project. It's like, what? What is going on? Like, you're right. Like, why? I don't quite understand Japanese fascination with Nazi Germany. It's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It should be more uncomfortable over there, but it's certainly uncomfortable from a Western perspective.
Yeah. I mean, like, at least on the bright side, the Nazis are the bad guys in Hellsing.
True.
And they are not attempted to be redeemed at all.
No, and they're all bad.
Yeah.
And I think what's really interesting is the Nazi philosophy in this is almost aligns with actual fascism, kind of. Like, it's easy to do the Indiana Jones thing of, well, we'll dress up the bad guys like Nazis and then have Indiana Jones punch them so you know that they're the bad guys. But in this instance, their like motivation is they want vampire warriors so that they have an immortal army to do an eternal war. Yeah. And for fascism to function, part of its like tenet is that it needs an eternal enemy. You always need an outsider group that you are warring against in order for the machine to work. Mm-hmm. So I found that like, wow, you actually did your research. You actually made these villains cogent. Like, this is real. Mm-hmm. This is how fascist works. Good job. Yeah. Granted, he uses it as an excuse for Hellsing to like blow up an aircraft carrier. Yeah. But it, I don't know, it works.
Yeah, it's like,
it's good.
Is it really well thought out, like, take on fascism, or is it the most reprehensible bad guys we could kill are Nazis who are also, like, immortal vampires? So
who are also vampires and zombies.
So that would be the best kind of bad guy to kill, because nobody would ever think of, like, you know, rationalizing with the bad guys here. So, you know, best bad guys to have. Great fodder. Take your pick on what you think. I have my opinions on which one of those I think is more likely, which we will get to at some point as one of the last lines I have in my notes of a thing we'll talk about later. Yeah. But anyways, back to Alucard. I think he looks cool. I think his design is fun. I think the art in this manga revolving around Alucard is dope as hell, and the design is great, the design elements are great, the design choices are great. Character-wise, yeah, he exists, that's, I guess, yeah. He exists.
What? Are you saying that he's not very well fleshed out, or goes through any development?
Yeah, is it kind of boring when you have a series where, like, the main character is, like, so much more powerful than everyone else? I mean, but the fight looks cool.
Here's what I'll say about that. And I'm guilty of this. So maybe this is cope. Mm-hmm. We'll see. When you use a literary allusion or a literary figure in your own fictional work, it's implied that you're bringing over all of its history from the original work and its cultural cachet into like a discussion space with yourself.
Yeah.
So Alucard, aka Dracula's appearance here, I think we're supposed to just assume that everything that happened in the novel and everything that you think you know about Dracula has happened to this guy. And therefore, you don't really have to worry about character development because it's everything in your brain, right? Mm-hmm. It's everything you assume about Dracula is true, and here's his appearance.
Yeah.
And so I'm willing to give it a pass because I like Dracula. And I think Dracula is cool, and this adds to the mythology of what if Dracula was a sexy man who blew up an aircraft carrier?
Yeah. And, like, yes, do we get backstory for Alucard later on? We do. Is it very well fleshed out? No. Is it kind of disjointed? Yes. Do I kind of not really... I've read this series so many times and I still don't really know how to... Maybe it's because the translation that we've been reading is not that great. But, like, I'm always like, well, I think I know what his backstory is. Maybe it'd make more sense if I read Dracula. But, like, no, there's more stuff there fun fact, this Dracula was born, or Alucard in this story was born in the 1400s. I don't know how, is that canon to the book?
I don't know how old Vlad the Impaler is, because Dracula, like, in the novel, it's implied Dracula is Vlad Tepes the Impaler.
Let's check.
So that might line up. He's like a medieval guy.
1436.
He's probably older than that, actually.
And Alucard, where can I find a way? Because we are given a birth year, I think, for Alucard. It is in the 1400s, and it seems very, very close to. Give me a second, I could find it.
Impaler. 1431 for Vlad.
Oh wow! What's
in Romania?
And
died in 1476.
And Alucard was born in 1431.
Well, there you go. So
there we go.
Canon to the novel.
Then, you know what? After this, I'm going to do some research into Vlad the Impaler's life, and I'm going to figure out how much of Alucard's backstory actually happened to Vlad the Impaler. I feel like some of this was made up. Yeah, but we'll find out. I'll find out in my own time. I am less bothered by the fact that Alucard is so strong and, like, does not lose, because I have read the end of this series, so I know what happens. And I think the end, I think it's hilarious. Please read the rest of it, if only to find out how the final battle ends. Oh my god, it's hilarious. I just think it's so funny. So, like, it doesn't bother me that Alucard is super strong, because I think the end of the series is good and funny. I don't want to give you spoilers. Because to read Hellsing for the first time and read through it and be like, oh, this is about Nazis? I'm sorry, what happens? I'm sorry, this character does what? I'm sorry, huh? That's the yeah, anyways, good times. I like this series, it's hilarious. But yeah, no, Alucard doesn't have much of a character. Like, he's got some characteristics. He's, like, kind of snarky. He's really full of himself. He cares about his master. That's cute. He listens to her well. Good for him.
But he also forces her into positions where
he's an ass. Yeah.
He's allowed to do bad things.
Yeah.
Quote unquote bad things. I don't know that killing Brazilian cops. Never mind. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, but there are like some times where you see like a little bit of humanity in him, where he gets like mad at someone for making a decision or doing something, and he's like, you suck for that. So I do like those moments, and he does genuinely care about like Integra's safety, which is nice, and he sometimes is a good mentor to Saris and whatever. But on the whole spectrum of quality of characters, he looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got those cool guns, those impossible handguns. Exactly. That's kind of cool.
And that's the point. You know what? They're vampires. They can have cool stuff like the biggest gun ever that is 3 times the size of the girl wielding it. Why not? It's cool because it looks cool. It looks cool. You can be like, yeah, vampire's strong. Look at her giant gun. Awesome. Yeah, good stuff. In terms of the story, thoughts?
Oh, there's like no plot here. I thought it was going to be the initial chapter. I thought it was going to be like a monster of the week, like Alucard and his team and his ride along Ceres investigating like some sort of vampire or supernatural outbreak in town to town, like, because that's, you know, in popular mythology, that's what Van Helsing, what the Helsing organization is named after. That's what he does. He hunts monsters.
I mean,
it's not that.
Technically,
it's mostly about.
Technically, they are discovering why all these monsters are popping up. It's because the Nazis.
Yeah, but it's mostly just them fighting the Nazis and the Catholic Church
and the Vatican,
sort of.
Yeah, so which we haven't talked about at all. Even though Alexander Anderson is one of the coolest characters in this thing.
Is he? I thought he was such what a dork.
Oh, well, okay, sure, maybe he's dorky, but he's super cool. You haven't seen all his fun battles yet. So, also, in the official translation, he has a really heavy Scottish accent, so that's funny. I like that.
That's kind of funny.
It's impossible to read. I literally do not know what he's saying. I'm just like, sure, whatever. He's cool. He's got fun weapons. He and Alucard like to fight each other. They punch each other in the face all the time. It's great. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, yeah, no, the Vatican exists, and so you're like, did we have to have a religious element? Is this too many elements? We have the Nazis. We have the religious stuff. We have vampires. Should one of them be cut out? Should we have edited this?
Yeah, like, it would be an interesting, again, when it feels like the book is about, like, again, Monster of the Week, we're going to discover new things every once in a while. It's interesting to have this second party out there that might be a threat, but, like, as soon as they introduce the Nazis, it's like, well, you guys are going to team up, right? Like, there's no way that the Vatican's going to team up with the Nazis. I guess they could, I don't know.
What if there was a third option?
Yeah, true. What if everybody's just at war with everybody?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to finish reading to find out. Yeah, they kind of like the most inconsequential part. As Hirano has said, that there were some parts nearing the end that did get rushed because deadlines. Classic. So some of the characters didn't get fleshed out as much as he wanted to, Anderson being one of them. But maybe there's going to do more stuff with the Vatican. Do the Catholics really hate the Protestants that much? Or is that made up?
They used to.
Okay.
They used to.
Fair.
Now, I mean, I don't know. Not really. They don't really care,
yeah.
I think they're, but, yeah. No, that was real.
Yeah, again, I always have to remind myself, what religion are each of these groups again? Because
that's all the same.
It doesn't matter. You think I'm remembering specifically which ones here are Catholic when I'm reading the big guns, big vampire, big bloody battle manga? No.
Also, does this Japanese guy know the difference between Protestants and Catholics?
I don't know. He seems to know more than me.
I guess.
And I'm like, yeah, sure. I didn't know the English were Protestants. Sure, news to me. Whatever. I learned that from this manga. If that's real. Good. But yeah, the only criticisms of the manga that I have found is that plot, story, it's not good. I haven't really seen much criticism ever for the art style. And then there's criticism for the characters being kind of flat, and then the story being dumb and not good. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't really have a plot. The plot is big fight. Big fight. They fight.
I think some of that comes down to pacing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, part of my criticism of the art and writing is the, like, panel-to-panel transitions are sometimes, like, really weak. Like, it'll just be, I don't know, he breaks the 180 rule all the time.
I know you love that.
Which is fine. It's fine. Like, it's not really noticeable in most comics, but here it's like, seriously, he's doing it all the time. From between close-ups to wide shots to full body poses. It's like, where are we? Like, where does any of this take place? I think that is my major criticism.
Yeah. Very fair. I very rarely notice this, I guess. I guess specifically in battle manga, I never notice that because I'm like, I'm just reading it for the vibes. This is not the first time that you have mentioned something I've brought and been like, why does this author ignore the 180 rule all the time? And I'll be like, didn't even notice. Wasn't even watching for that. You mentioned that about Sweet Poolside, which I thought was really funny.
No, that was Jeff. That was Jeff.
Oh, that was Jeff. I thought that was you. That. But anyways,
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, me neither.
And Sweet Poolside had other problems.
Yeah, there was many more problems. So I'm like, that's very funny. I don't notice that. I wonder if that's like, because like that's a thing that you learn all the time in like writing comics and stuff. I wonder if that's more specifically a thing that like Western comics people care about.
I think it is because it comes from cinema.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's a criticism of movies more so than literature. Like obviously you can't do that in prose, but
I'm sure you could find a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like because it happens all the time in manga, and that's probably why I am completely unfazed by it in most senses. Like I notice it sometimes when people do it. But mostly as a, they broke the 180 rule. Not as a, oh my god, my immersion is broken, I don't know where I am. I'm just like, yeah, I guess I noticed that. Not one of the things that bothers me, but it's probably one of those things that you're just numb to if you read enough manga.
I suppose so.
Yeah. But yeah.
And again, it's not a deal breaker. Like, this is still cool. Like, sometimes the rule of cool supersedes the 360 rule, right? Like, or the 180 rule. If the guns are shooting and the guy's head is coming off, I'm not really caring about where the last panel took place, as long as it looks good. Which, for the most part, this accomplishes that.
And sometimes, like, you won't know what's happening in a panel. You're like, there's too much detail, I can't decipher this. Or you just look at a page, and it's got a couple panels of just insane fighting happening, and you're like, overstimulation, my goodness. And you're just like, but I think that is kind of part of the time. I mean, Trigun is like that a lot. We should talk about Trigun sometime. My sister said we should talk about Trigun sometime, and she said, you should talk about Trigun. And then you can ask Jack if he understands what's happening. And I'm like, yes, it is one of the hardest things to read, in my opinion, because you're like, I don't know what that panel is. But, like, it's weird.
I've been to watch Trigun forever.
Like,
I kind of want to watch this also.
Oh, fun fact. I have never watched the anime, and by that I mean Hellsing Ultimate. I don't think I would even bother with the original one, because if it doesn't follow the story, I don't care. What I have watched is the Hellsing Abridged series. Because... Okay,
yeah. Maybe I've seen some of that back in the day when everyone was doing it.
I remember that. I'm just like, I've never actually seen the OVAs, but apparently they're good. I've seen, like, stills, and they look nice, and I'm like, cool, that character looks hot. I love this. But anyways... We can agree that the story is there, I guess.
Next to non-existent. There's conflict. There's not really a story.
Yeah. And it's conflict. That's a very good way of putting it. It's people who are fighting for a reason, I guess, ? Literally, the bad guy's motivation is he just wants to have more war, forever war. Which, like, I am not bothered by that being a motivation. I think that's a fine motivation. Like, it's totally passable, and I have no problem. I think the Major is a good villain, because he does what he needs to do, and it works. Sometimes, you have villains, and you're just like, I don't buy this person's motivation, or this motivation is stupid, or whatever. But, like, what, the Nazi guy just wants to fight war forever? Believable. I get it. They want to make vampires, sure. Now let them fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, there's one thing about my enjoyment of Hellsing that confuses me. Because, the story, non-existent. The characters, not great. And I'm like, I am well known to just think that characters are very important. And if the characters suck, I don't like it. So I think to myself, why do I like Hellsing so much when the story doesn't exist, and also the characters are, like, really mid? Is it just the art? I don't know, because, fun fact, I started reading Hirano's other series, Drifters, which started like, right after Hellsing, and it's currently still existing. It's gone on hiatus a million times. I feel bad. This man's output is very slow, I guess. And I've been reading it, and I can't tell you how much I don't care about it. And it's drawn like Hellsing is. It's same artist, same author. Do I not care about it because it's an isekai and I hate isekai? Maybe. The characters are, like, it's same kind of thing. Like, we're using very vaguely same kind of thing. A lot of the characters in this thing are from, like historical figures. As I said, Hitler's a character in it. They're using, like, Japanese historical figures, and Jeanne of Arc is there as well, and they're all got isekai'd into a fantasy world, and they're fighting, and some of them have powers. And, like, the fights are good. The story is also non-existent, and the characters are also not great. But why don't I care about that series at all? But I think Hellsing is so good. Is it just nostalgia?
I was gonna say, maybe, I mean, it's vibes, right?
Yeah.
That's truly the answer here, is it's vibes. Uh-huh. This comes from a time when edge was the fashion, right? Like, industrial music, dark and gritty. What's that font? You know that font? That everybody was using in, like, the mid to late 90s to, like, signify edginess. It was like, it looks like the letters are, like, bleeding or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's this.
It's that aesthetic. But it appeals to such a raw emotionality. a broad emotionality that it is almost like, it's almost effervescent, like, or evergreen, right? Like, sometimes you're in a bad mood and sometimes you just need to see a vampire totally obliterating some Nazis to feel anything about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I don't like when people just dismiss things as edgy, because for one thing, it ignores history, where it's like, well, this was like kind of groundbreaking, or it was like, it was against the grain, like it was against the norm. But also because that stuff comes from humanity. Like, one day we'll read The Crow, one of my favorite comics of all time. It's a rock simple story. There's not a lot going on, but it's all emotion. And if you read into why James O'Barr wrote and drew The Crow when he did, you completely understand where he's coming from with that work. And I wonder if that's the same here. Like, I wonder if this guy was going through a weird breakup, or like, I don't know, like some medical things, maybe a death in the family. Like, are you familiar with his background at all prior to or during the work of this?
There's not a lot that I can find. Most of what I found was the history of, like, his making manga. As in, he started out as an assistant, he started drawing hentai, he did a one-shot hentai version of Hellsing, it popped off a little bit, did more sample chapters of Hellsing, got some feedback, whatever, started making Hellsing, people liked it. And then he finished making Hellsing after 10 years. Also did other stuff at the time, and did stuff before, and has done stuff since. Can't find a lot about I haven't been able to find a lot about his personal life. I mean, I'm the type of person who thinks that the stuff you write and stuff is very transparent to who you are. And reading some of his other stuff, I think this was a fluke. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Interesting. Okay.
As in, like, his art is...
Sometimes that happens.
And fun fact, one of my favorite series ever, which we might talk about at some point in time, if I will, like, force you to read the most mid thing ever that I love for no reason. Sometimes people just make a thing that's accidentally good, because I read most of what I could find of his other stuff. Most of which has never been finished, because he just does that. There's just like this random manga called Gun something. What's it called? I don't know. And it's like 3 chapters long. And like, you can see his art process get better, because, oh my god, his early stuff is like so questionably drawn. It's not great. And then it gets better, and this whatever it was called, it's unique, I guess you could say. Gun Mania, I believe, is what it's called. And it's like 3 chapters, and like it was something that got dropped again. He just stopped making it. And like, you can see the progression of his art get better, but the writing is just never there. And I'm like, maybe I'm reading Drifters, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe like 40 chapters in, and maybe later on the writing get better, but like, I don't think the writing is ever really there, and I don't know if the characters are ever really there. And like, the comedy is there sometimes. It's literally just the art, and the art works best in Hellsing. So apologies to anyone who likes his other stuff. It's just my opinion. I do kind of think that Hellsing's a little bit of a fluke.
A little bit of a flash in the pan, or I don't know. Sometimes you do peak. Sometimes you make your magnum opus, exactly. And then you don't have as good as ideas, right? The problem of the what do they call it? The sophomore album or whatever. When
sometimes you make Naruto. And then Naruto. Sometimes you make Naruto, and then you try to make something else called whatever, Samurai 8 or whatever, and it lasts like 2 volumes, and then it gets canceled because no one liked it. And you're not
Sometimes Naruto's not even good in the first place.
Well, yeah, and then Boruto exists too, and like, you know, I read a lot of it, but... Yeah, so sometimes you just make one good thing, and then some people just stick with their one good thing, because you made One Piece, you might as well keep making One Piece. You made JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you might as well keep making JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You made Baki the Grappler, you might as well keep drawing Baki the Grappler until everything is just unrecognizable. So yeah, I congrats to Hirano for making Hellsing, because it's cool, and it's actually finished. Congratulations for finishing something. It might be the only good thing he's made, but in that case, it's really good. It's really well received for like what it is.
Totally.
Yeah. And I get why people like it, and people like it for the reason I like it. Damn, it looks cool. And that's...
It looks cool.
Yeah.
And I think also it speaks to, even if the author, even if I'm playing armchair psychology with the author, and maybe he's had a happy, joyous life his entire life, and he just likes drawing vampires, you know, it does speak to some sort of emotionality, specifically in the West, of, you know, angst, I guess, unease, anger.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing we do on this show. We overanalyze stuff because that's the point. And for many of the things I bring to the table, yes, it was good on purpose. I put this one in, it was good kind of by accident, as in the art is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. And yeah, that's fine. Not everybody is great at all the parts of writing stuff.
I don't know. I think vampires versus Nazis is kind of a rock solid premise.
Oh, 100%.
That should have existed before this. Like, you got to give him some props for that, even if he didn't think of anything beyond.
Yeah, and it's great. And I'm surprised there's not more. I mean, there are werewolves. I'm surprised there's not more werewolves. And also, the werewolf thing is never explained. But yeah, fun fact: there's werewolves. I don't know if you got far enough to figure out that there's werewolves. There's werewolves. Yay!
I think there's a werewolf. I think I read up to a werewolf at least.
Oh, which one? Which one did you get to?
I
No?
can't remember. Maybe I'm mixing it up with the Catboy.
Oh, yes, the Catboy exists. Hilarious. But yeah, no, there's werewolves in this, so, like, you know, vampires versus werewolves, vampires versus Nazis. Great idea. Looks cool. I'll end this as I started it. Damn, that art looks cool, huh?
Damn, it's cool.
Yeah. You have any closing thoughts or opinions about Hellsing?
I think it sounds like we're being overly harsh on this work. And I'm maybe not as expressive as I maybe would be usually about something like this. I think that this has value. I think that as a piece of popular horror action fiction manga, I think even if it's not totally fleshed out, I think the base ideas are valuable. I think it is an interesting piece of literature.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. With all the things I say, like criticisms, I love Hellsing. I've read this thing in its entirety about once every 2 years, and every time I do, I have a great time. I would 100% recommend it to everyone, unless the only thing you come to manga for is really in-depth character studies or the best plot ever. If you like reading things that look cool and you like having a good time, you will have a great time reading Hellsing. It's awesome. I would love to have the fancy hardcover volumes. I think there's not very many because it's not that long. So that's great. Yes, it's a short read. It's 95 chapters. You can whip it out in like a day and a half. That's what I did to prepare for this.
Whip it out, put on the gothic metal cover of Bloody Tears on loop on YouTube and just read through it. It's pretty good.
Sit in a dark room with like one candle burning in the corner.
With a couple candles. Yeah.
No.
It's good.
Yeah. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Great time. Damn, does it look cool. Thanks for listening. You can find me, Diane, on Instagram at @1littlegremlin. That's 1_little_gremlin.
And you can find me, Jack Stewardson, at Phantom Power Press on Blue Sky and Pink Sky. Phantom Power Press spelled with an F.
If you'd like to follow the show, you can do so on Blue Sky and Pink Sky at panelpalspodcast.bsky.social. All of our links are in the show notes. If you like the show, please rate and review on your podcast provider of choice. Panel Pals is a Jack Stewardson, Diane Hitchings co-production with editing by Jack Stewardson. Our musical theme is found by Stemchamps.